right. Okay, we haven't got anyone way up the back, right? No, good. All right, because then I really can't see you. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this, like the last session of the first day. This is the point where you just go, can I be bothered? But I'm glad you did. If you want to participate, because I'm not going to be talking at you, it's going to be a conversation, I reckon you get a lot out of this. But first I have a question, and Stacey's not allowed to answer, because I already did this yesterday. Does anyone know where this is? It's Australia, that's right. I can't see who said that, but you're right. It is, and it's always a kind of an interesting conversation point, because people go, huh? I thought it was just desert and dead kangaroos there. But no, we can go skiing. This, in fact, is about 90 minutes from my house. So yeah, we have really cold mornings. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm in Norway. We have mild mornings in winter. Now we do get frost. So yeah, there you go. We start with a bit of trivia. Has no relevance to the talk whatsoever, but I thought it'd be interesting. Yes, I did bring stickers. They're down here. It's a really awkward place to put them, but I don't know where else to put them. So during the talk, after the talk, whatever you want, come and have some stickers. They're actually quite cool. David Neal did one of them, if you know him, big beard. All right, so I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Because this is sort of a talk that, yes, I have some slides, but it's never the same. But there are some things I just want to sort of preface and say, okay, this is what you can expect. So I don't have all the answers. Surprise. But I'm going to try and give you some answers based on my experience, which brings me to this is my subjective opinion. Right? It is just that. This is my opinion. Some of it has worked really well for me. But as you start asking me things, which you will, I know, did you fix the light? Because I can see you suddenly. Or did you just put light on there? It works, whatever it is. It's very subjective, right? I'm just going to give you an opinion, and it's going to be a conversation, but hopefully you get little bits out of it that you can use. That's the whole idea. So take what you can use and leave the rest. This is not a path of gold nuggets that you're going to consume and be powerful kind of thing, right? There's a whole bunch of information that some of it you can use, some of you go, hey, that's a great idea, and you go, Lars, you're an idiot, why'd you even say that? And that's fine. Your journey will be different from mine. I'm not going to pretend to know where you're at and what's going to happen in your life tomorrow or anything. I am going to try and relate it to what I know, which is me, right? And I've done these kind of talks on and off for some years now, and I tend to get a good rapport with people if you want that, as in, I really rely on you to talk the other way as well. And I know in Norway, for jeg fra Danmark, så jeg forstår det godt, this is not the easiest thing in the world, right? But we get there, we'll get there. Ask lots of questions, seriously. Interrupt me, shout it. I might be able to see your hand because of lights, etc. This is okay. I really want you to ask questions. This is the whole idea that you're here, I hope. And I will repeat the questions for the recording, otherwise we would have to have a microphone that would take forever to be thrown around. And if you do ask questions about Lego or cars, this is going to be a very long talk. Just warning you. Those are two of the things that I am very passionate about. It's for the kids, the Lego. So, I'm going to start with me, and it's not because I want to show you, like, look at me. It's so we have some sort of reference point, some sort of starting point of, well, this is where I'm at, and here are the things that I've so far achieved in my journey. And if you can relate it to something you're doing, something you want to do, something that you disagree with, that's great. So, I live in Australia, which you may have figured out by the accent. Right? I've been there for a very long time. I did grow up in Denmark, but I chose Australia as my forever place, essentially. I live on a farm, as you can see. Oh, this is right. I'll see if it works. Oh, no. Wrong way. Sorry. Hang on. I got this new thing, and I'm just learning how to use it. Does it work? Look at that. See? It's a spotlight. Sorry, I won't do that again. But no, I live on a farm in Australia, and it's a choice. Right? Everything's a choice, and we'll get much more into that. But I've chosen to live there. And when we lived there, when we started living there, we moved there about 7, 8 years ago, people thought we were absolutely mad. I kid you not. the main reaction people would give us, like, oh yeah, I moved, it's 2 hours out of Melbourne, we don't have internet. They go, why would you do that, right? And then funny, in about 2.5 years ago, about April of 2020, instant geniuses, right? Suddenly everybody wanted what we had. But it's because I was focusing on my journey. I wasn't worried about what everybody else thought I should do. And we'll also get into that much more later on. So that is the view from the top of my hill, that tree. There's no color correction. That is how it looks. It's very cool. That is how brown it is in summer. So yeah, it's all real. It means I can have my son, and that's one of the dogs, and we can walk out in nature, and we can do things that we probably wouldn't do. Like, that's literally a 3-minute walk from our house. Right, that's now I can do it. No, I can't actually, because it's too big. Behind the farm on the big picture, there's a creek, and that's the creek. I have a job I'm really, really, really happy about. Like, I love what I do. I'm not just saying that because Pluralsight gave me shoes. Doesn't have anything to do with that. It's taken me about 14 years to find the right role, but I'm there. I love it. So that's a good place I got, and that's my team. Some of you might recognize some of those people. I'm writing a book, something I've wanted to do for a long time, like a very long time. I started twice before and failed, and now I'm doing it again. I'm halfway. Yes, Daisy, I know you finished yours. Shush. It's a long journey, right? And coincidentally, I can give 2 of them away. Hey, so I'll do that at the end. But that's based on your questions. And then I'm going to talk about goals. That is one of my absolute favorite, let's call it toys, right? I'm not that naive. It's sort of a toy, but it's something we achieved. It's, if you're not into cars, that's totally fine. If you are into cars, that's an AMG GL63 from 2014. Goes really fast, it's very loud, right? But it's my thing. I love it. We have llamas. I've got to put the llamas in there. We do have llamas on the farm. They're a neighbor's property, but they live on our farm, which means I don't have to do anything. I get to put them on the internet. Everybody wins. And then I do Lego. So again, don't ask me about that, but I do have a whole room which is only Lego. You can only see about 1/3 of it there, right? And I'm putting all that up there not to say, look what I've got. It's because this is my journey, right? And this is what the whole thing is about. It's turning dreaming into doing is the title of the talk, right? And this is what I've been doing. Like, that car we wanted, I'll get into this a lot more, for like 2 years. We planned it, right? We dreamt about it. I actually don't like the word dreaming, but how else would I get you in the room, right? So that's me right now. There's a lot more to it, obviously, than that. No one's that sort of, one slide kind of story, but that's me. So question again, we got to break the ice somehow. So if you've got questions, again, shout them out, because I cannot see much. Yes, sir.
Can we get a 30-second on how to sort Lego?
Can we get a 30 seconds on how to sort Lego? Yes, you can. Or do you want me to do it? Yes. If you have a lot of Lego, don't sort by colors, because you go mad, because everything's yellow. You will. Hey? Yeah, exactly. Don't sort by color. Sort by what you know, what there's a lot of to start with, because then it becomes obvious what's left over. And have labels for everything. Spend hours and hours and hours with a dymo to label everything, because at the end, you know where everything is. That's 30 seconds, I think. Yeah? It's actually in that video. Yeah. Anything else? See, we've broken the ice. Now we're good. Yes.
Machine learning over it?
Machine learning. I have a video on YouTube on machine learning with Lego. Not my app, but there is an app for it. Scans all your Lego on the floor, tells you what you can build with it. It's very cool. Yeah, see Lego questions? I warned you. I did warn you. All right, so I want to talk about you, because that's me. So now you have a rough snapshot of where I'm at. I'm happy to answer any personal questions, or within reason, obviously, but, it's fine. Like, I'm sort of putting my, soul out here for you, so maybe you can get a little bit of believing or whatever out of it. So, this is a question I often ask, whether I'm mentoring one-on-one, because I do a fair bit of that, or whether it's a group like this, or whatever, right? But are you genuinely happy, right? It's a very broad question, because I don't know what happy looks to you, or to you, or to you. But as in, current achievements, are you happy with the role you have? Are you happy with your relationships? Are you happy with where you live? All of these things. Are you happy with your current state of learning, if that's your thing? Maybe you're studying for something, right? It's a really good place to start because you got to sort of self-reflect and find out, I think I am, but there's the bits I want to fix, or nah, it's shit. I get that a lot as well, right? And that's fine too. But we got to start somewhere. And then the next question is often, have you set goals? So just a show of hands, I'm not going to ask you just yet to share them, but has anyone here got actual goals they've set for things to achieve? So roughly a third, I'm guessing? Right. By the end of this session, hopefully, we'll get a lot more hands going. Well, not have done what, but wanting to. It's really important. It's a pro tip. And then who often thinks that, damn, Lauren over there or Torbjörn or whoever is so much more successful. What did he do? What are they doing? Is the grass greener? Has anyone got those thoughts? Yeah, it's very common, of course, Oh, well, I look at, say, my YouTube. I got 2,400 subscribers or something, and I've been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years. And someone's been doing it for 2 months, they got 100,000 subscribers. I go, what the, right? It's not, there's nothing wrong with it, but if you focus too much on it, it becomes really toxic. Because their journey is not yours, right? And I could probably get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube if I really wanted to and put the effort in and didn't do anything else. Probably. So those are the questions that we're going to try and sort of dive into a bit more. I think they're important because they define a lot of what this talk is about, your journey. I could call it career talk, but it's kind of boring because I don't necessarily want to talk about careers. There's a lot more to life than just your career. Right. Now I'm going to ask you, have you got dreams? Yes. I don't know who said yes, but excellent. Many. Denny. Oh, hey, Denny. I knew you'd be here. Oh, there you are. Anyone want to share, say, a dream? I've got 50 minutes. Yep. All right.
My dream is basically doing what
I'll repeat it.
basically doing what you do, giving talks and sharing my knowledge.
So your dream is to do what I do right now? Talk on a stage in front of people. Yep. Sweet. That's tangible. Right? That's good. Okay, has anyone got any bigger ones? Yes. Yeah, sure. We can do both, but yeah, we'll start with you.
I want to make my own game engine and use that to build games.
Oh, I love it when I talk to nerds. You want to do your own game engine and build games for that game engine. Yeah, with that game engine. I like that. See, that's, again, it's tangible. That's often when I talk to engineers, it's always like that, right? If I talk to sort of more like salespeople or business people, it's like, oh, yeah, I need to have a house on this street. That's tangible. But they come up with more airy-fairy stuff. This is very good. Yes, next.
I want to get to a situation when I live from a passive income.
Oh, now that's a good one. Wants to live off a passive income or multiple passive incomes, I'm assuming. So does anyone know what that means, a passive income?
Doing shit and getting paid for it.
Not quite. So you're saying not doing shit and getting paid? Sort of. I often rephrase it a little bit like, when you're sleeping, you're still making money, right? So that it doesn't matter like when you do the work or in what order, it keeps generating income. It's passive income. It doesn't matter how many hours you put in, like it still has an income generation, right? So, and obviously I'm going to plug Pluralsight, I work for them, but that's one of the business models we attract authors with. It's like, hey, you do the course once, and as long as people watch your course, you get passive income, right? Or writing a book, which is a terrible idea. Don't do that. You make no money out of a book. But same idea, right? You get royalties from it. Passive incomes. It could be you have a web project on the side, and it generates passive income from membership. Right? There's many, many, many ways of doing it. That's a really good one. We're going to get back to why you haven't done it, but yes. Anyone else, or I can move on. Okay, so I'm sure there's many of you that are sitting thinking about things, and that's fine. I'm not going to force you to converse, but it helps. Also, when you verbalize things, they become a lot more real. Just saying, especially if you tell like 100 people, right? Okay, so often, the thing that, so I said I was going to ask you about, well, why haven't you done it yet? Like, why have you not gone and make that dream or that goal into reality? Is that people just want, well, I need more time. Like, who has all the time in the world? Who has more time than what they can use? Yeah, exactly, right? Who wants more time then? Who needs more time every day? Yeah, that's a very common thing. The problem is we can't do anything about that. Like there's nothing we can do about generating more time in terms of hours in a day. What we can do is that we can focus on what we do with that time, because we all have the same amount of time. There's no difference, right? Some people sleep more, some people sleep less, but that's, on the edge. Okay, and here's one of my favorite things to throw at you. Yeah. Who has a Netflix account? Or something similar? Yeah. Okay, is there a person that does not have a streaming account? Oh, there's a few. Well done. Okay. So my argument is always, okay, so does anyone want to volunteer the last show they watched on Netflix? Breaking Bad. Okay, how many episodes are there of Breaking Bad? 5 seasons, yeah, that's right. And how many episodes need? 10? 8? Something? So we're talking 50 episodes, right. And how long is each episode? 40 minutes? So let's say it's 40 hours all up, right? So 2 days. Right, what happened if you hadn't watched it? Probably build the game engine, he says. And that's my point, right? It's one of those, it's easy picking because everybody has a Netflix account. I don't. And I don't want to be that guy who goes, I didn't watch Game of Thrones because I'm special. I just choose not to, okay? I do have a Prime account because I have Amazon Prime and it gives it to you for free, right? So I do have a streaming account, but I hardly ever use it. I watch Grand Tour because I'm a car jerk. I can't not. But no, Netflix is a prime example of absolute waste of time, in my opinion. How are we getting there?
You've got a premise that if I didn't watch Netflix, I would do something more productive instead.
Well, so the premise, yeah, is the premise is, right? Let's go back. Everybody wanted more time, right? I can't go on eBay and buy more time.
But is it about time, or is it more like about energy and motivation? Because I watch Netflix when I'm totally tired to do anything meaningful, to relax.
Yeah, so you're saying, and this is the same argument always, is that I have that to relax, right? The problem with that is that you spend 48 hours watching a show to relax, right? So hang on, yeah, I'll get to you. My counter with that is that I watch a movie. So I have like 800 movies on Plex at home, right? And the argument is that a movie ends. It takes an hour and a half, it takes 2 hours, and it's done. And I don't want to watch that movie the next day. Right? I've done the movie. I've done the relaxing as you argued. Whereas something like Netflix, and this is a very specific example, I know, but it sort of proves the point, is that we choose what to do with our time. And it's very easy. It's the same as Instagram videos. What are they called? Reels, right? You just scroll, right? At TikTok, I don't have TikTok. I'm that old, but TikTok to me is just like, holy moly, you never ever stop. It's just that motion, right? It's a choice. It's intentionally designed to keep you on there. And that's the same with Netflix. That's why they release a whole season at a time. So my point is, you choose what you do with your time. Or you can choose what you do with your time. There was a question up or a comment up here.
Yeah.
Denny.
Yeah, and what if you only use Netflix for what you really encourage you in your life? Like, example, only very selecting what you watch, and if it's in direct line with your passion.
So if you're saying you got to have discipline. Hey?
A Netflix account and not watching everything, only having a limited selection of what you want, and that is directly correlated with your passion and or interest.
I love these arguments, right? We can be here all day. So what if Danny only had, whatever it was you said, categories that he could watch and not like everything? Is that that's your argument, right?
I can watch, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So you trust yourself.
I do it.
Yeah, but Denny's a bit awesome, so that doesn't quite count. But I get the argument, though. So what if I was just so disciplined that I wouldn't watch any of the other stuff? Well, then my argument is still like, well, why do you need Netflix at all then? Why don't you just get rid of it? Right? Maybe that's something. And it's an interesting argument because there are many things like that we choose to spend time on that we really don't have to. right? No one's saying, hey, you must watch this. So as an example, I have no idea what's on Netflix, right? I don't know. I haven't watched any of the shows. I saw top 10 of the most popular TV shows, and I didn't recognize any of them, right? That means I'd miss out on a lot of social conversation, pop culture references, those sort of things. I do. And it's kind of interesting in my job, which is like, hey, I'm on social media, look at me, woo, that I miss out on all those cues. Like, I've never watched an episode of Simpsons either, right? And that's a choice. That there are a lot of references that I miss out on. There's a lot of cues, and people laugh, and I go, I don't know why you're laughing. And I miss out on that interaction. But it's a choice, because I think it's more important that I focus on what I want to do at that time. And you all got to make that choice. But if you want to watch Netflix and watch 48 hours of Netflix in a row, you absolutely can. Just don't complain to me they don't have enough time. No, I know. But I'm just picking on you now. Yes?
Would you lump YouTube into the same category?
Would I lump YouTube into the same category? Sort of. YouTube is also obviously a streaming service. I use YouTube a lot because I'm renovating this massive farmhouse you saw before. So I'm like, okay, how do I sand the floor? Right? Where before I would have read some article on Wikipedia. No, that's not it. But some sort of DIY thing, right? But yes, they are kind of in that, because then you suddenly go, oh, there's the next. Oh, I haven't been to Pakistan. That looks interesting, right?
And by extension, would you lump Pluralsight into that?
Would I lump Pluralsight? Oh, I like it. Ooh. Would I lump Pluralsight into that streaming service? Well, no, because Pluralsight, right? No, I wouldn't actually, if I got to look at it objectively, because it's a learning platform, and you do get tired from learning, right? But that's something that you're probably not going to watch anything on Pluralsight either that you're really interested in, or that your company has told you that you really need to watch or learn. Oh, you do? Just random stuff?
You go into the categories, you browse by something, and then you think, oh, that looks interesting.
I like that's.
15 hours later, you're...
Keep that habit. Good man. So he's saying that he just generally just goes, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, I've never known there was a programming language called Jelly, for example. I don't know if that's on the platform, actually. But yeah, this is just, it's a very interesting argument, because we are absolutely in control, fundamentally, of where we spend our time, right? All right, I'll move on, because we got a bit more to, but thank you, this is good conversation. This is my argument for it, is that if you're intentional, right, be intentional. If you're intentional about what you do, then you're going to make a right decision at the time with what you know. But if you just go, like you said, oh, all right, well, I always wanted to learn how to program, MySQL with ASCII tables, then it's not intentional, is it? So you're sort of in that, you're right, it sort of falls in that category, or that stream, pun intended. But if you're intentional, then you take ownership, right? You take ownership of that decision, because you're like, well, I want to learn this. So as an example, let's say YouTube that you were mentioning before. If I want to learn how to sand a floor, well, my intention is to learn how to sand a floor, right? That's why I go to where the source is. If it wasn't YouTube, well, I would read an article, which I did as well. But the video just seems to be a much better medium for teaching those things. So yeah, I'd absolutely use it, but it's an intentional thing. And I'm not going to be a saint here and say I've never done what you said and go, ooh, that looks interesting. Of course I have. Of course you click on it. But then if you are intentional about the other things, you realize when you're not. And you go, ooh, I'm going down the dark path again, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing that for 10 minutes. That's fine. But we never do we? It's not how our brain works. So, looking at my notes here. So, and that is one of the ways that you generate time, is that you are intentionally choosing what to use your time on. It's really important. It's really, really important that you are intentional. That it is the things you do, you're doing that intentionally. Right? You buy your other half a meal because you want to spend time with them. It's an intentional thing. It's not because you just went, oh, I've got to eat anyway. Right? I hope not. Right? Or, the car. Well, actually, I'll get to the car in a minute, because I like talking about the car. So, let's talk about goals. No, not actually those goals. These goals. Intentional, do I mean self-aware? Is that the question? Yeah? Can't see who's saying it. Oh, there. Yeah, well, self-aware. Ooh, we're getting a bit philosophical now. I'd say that you are aware of what you, I mean, this is why we're talking about goals, right? How do you know what's intentional? Well, if you've got a goal, everything forms around that, those goals. So self-aware, not quite the same, I think, but it's similar. Yeah, I can't quite just put my finger on it, but it doesn't feel like the same. Now I want to talk about goals, because goals are, there's many talks about goal setting, and they're all a bit boring because they all sort of go, oh, then by the 7th of September, have you written it down? And it just gets a bit mechanical. So I want to talk about goals more in general. So I'll start with my goal. Hey, there's the car. I'm so happy about that car, and I have no apologies. We being me and my other half, Fiona, we're both complete car nerds, right? Absolute car nerds. I can tell you all the specs on it. I can tell you how much air needs to be in the tires. I can tell you what the horsepower is. I can tell you what chips in it to get more horsepower. Everything, right? And that's just my thing. So it makes sense that we have a goal around this. And the goal was that we wanted a car that could travel us, yes, that we could travel in comfort and with 7 seats. So 3 rows of seats, right? And maybe that's a very Australian thing. I don't know if that's a thing in Norway. Might be, maybe not. But we have very, very, very vast distances at times, right? We live in a tiny state called Victoria, which is 17 times larger than Denmark, right? And that's one of the smallest states in Australia. So having a car in our mind, in our world, that we could travel in, that's comfortable, that goes like a bat out of hell, was what we wanted. And initially, we went through a whole range of different vehicles we thought we wanted, and we settled on that. It took us 18 months figuring out, okay, which one, how do we finance it, how do we get it, how much it's going to cost to run, all those things. But it was an absolute plan to achieve that goal. Right? It was not a coincidence. It wasn't like, oh, we need a new car. The wide one's nice. Like, it wasn't like that at all, right? And you might buy cars like appliances, and that's cool. Like, each to their own. So that's one of my goals, was that. Another one, which is very different, is my YouTube channel. I built it up. I made it. I was intentional about this. So I had a YouTube account for God knows how long, 12 years or something, 10 years. And I did like 3 videos or something. I had like a HoloLens Pluralsight course intro, or I don't know, something random, right? And I went, okay, I want to do more YouTube videos. So my job is a lot of video, but I don't get to do exactly everything I want all the time. I'm going to have another outlet. I'm going to do this intentionally. I'm going to make the most out of it that I can. And I went, okay, I'm going to start it. And I did it in January of 2021, roughly. It's a bit of a slow start. But in January 2021, I was sort of went, okay, I'm doing it for real now. I'm going to do a video every 2 weeks without fail. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick to it. This is my intention. This is my goal. And by the end of the year, I'll have 1,000 subscribers. And I chose 1,000 because that's at the point where you can monetize it. We were talking about passive income before. That's one of them. I think I'm up to like $180 a month now, something like that, just from doing what I've been doing all along. And that's not a lot, but who knows, right? I'm going to take it. I'm not going to say no. But that was the goal. And I achieved the goal 3 months early, because I was so intentional about it. It was like, no, I have a plan. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjust as I go, and that's important. But so this year I want to get to, well, actually I said 5,000 at the start of the year, but now I'm saying 3,000 because, well, I didn't get that many. I've got 2,400 or something now, right? But that's a measurement that I can use to be intentional about doing these videos. And there's many benefits to me for doing the videos. I get to talk to lots of people, and despite what everybody thinks, people on YouTube are really friendly. If you're friendly to them, I find. So I reply to all the comments. I build a community around it. I do things I would do anyway. So all these videos, there's the Lego one, by the way, with the AI up the top left. I didn't know how YubiKeys worked. I didn't understand how that worked, what the idea was with the YubiKey. So I made a video on my journey of, I don't know. But I'm just filming what I do anyway. Sort of, because that one was me going, crap, I haven't got an idea for a video this week. Oh yeah, I can connect my dishwasher. And it's funny, that's the most popular video of the last 10 I've done, connecting my damn dishwasher to Home Assistant. But anyway, so you never know what's going to work. But that's a goal, right? So, what are your goals? Anyone want to share? I really want to hear them. I don't want to pick them apart or anything. I want to know that you're passionate about something to the point where you've made actual goals. Yes. Sorry, I couldn't see. Oh, yeah. There you go. Hi. You want to become a minister of IT? I don't even know what that is. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like a church minister. That's why I was confused. I was intrigued. I thought that was kind of cool. So a politician. Yeah, well, you know. But there could be an IT monk. So you want to be a politician, is what you're saying, within the IT sphere. Okay. So why is that a goal? What makes it a goal? Ah. Sure. Yep. Yep. Cool. So, yeah. So you love the impact that you may actually have as a politician. Hang on. So. Uh-huh. Okay. Cool. So it's about the impact, it's about the work that's involved. So I'm going to be a little bit rude and say that's not a goal. You're having a dream. So a goal is something tangible, right? Because right now you're just saying, I'd like to be. You know, I can say, I'd love to be an astronaut, right? Because I like what they do. I want to walk on the moon. It's not a goal, right? I'm just sort of, it's just a thought. To make it a goal, it's got to be intentional. You got to say, well, I'm going to, on Tuesday, I'm going to ring that guy. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to get a meeting. I got to find out what he's doing. And then based on that, I'm going to, I've got to figure out which degree I need or which, those are goals when they become that. That's the only way to manifest them. Because otherwise you're going to, I'm not going to pick on you as you, but just in more general you. What we do as humans is that we just keep pushing it because but there's the kids' soccer practices tomorrow as well, right? And we find all these ways of not doing it. But if you write them down, for example, and you make an intentional decision to pursue it and find out what the steps are. As an example, so my stepson, who's almost 17, he's extremely good at IT, and he's extremely good at getting in trouble with IT, right? So there's one side of the story. And he also wants to be a pilot. Well, he had 2 flying lessons. He threw up. We told him he wants to be a pilot because we reckon he'd be really good at it, right? Sometimes as parents, you've got to guide your kids. So that is, how do we make that more than a dream, right? So just today, I don't know if you've met Clifford, who is a speaker as well, who's a 787 pilot and a Maui developer. I'm like, I'll get Jordan to speak to Clifford. So we did. And now Jordan has I'm going to need my medical because I need to prove that I'm healthy, otherwise there's no point. I need to find an instructor that also wants to work in the airline industry, so he knows the steps to get there. Whoops. I have all these steps that we need to go through, and it becomes a goal. Otherwise, it's a dream, right? Or whatever you want to call it. It's not intentional. So I love what you're saying, but you got to take that next step and go, well, now I've got to actually action it and do a thing, right? Does that make sense? Oh, no, thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Did anyone? Yes.
I didn't, but now I did.
I just pointed you. Yeah.
Sorry. No. In my case, a goal that I am working towards is to obtain the Microsoft MVP award.
Okay, so goal is the Microsoft MVP award. Okay. So I don't think I need to ask you why, because the MVP award is it's community-based. It gives you some status. I was freelancing when I got my MVP award, and it just opens doors, right? Like you go to a client and they go, oh, MVP, oh, you don't have to do a code test or whatever. Right? It just gives you that instant credibility. So I get it. So why is it a goal? So now that we've spoken about that, explain to me how it's a goal.
It's a goal because I have actual steps that I am doing to
Mm-hmm.
be able to reach that. In the end, it's to a degree a little bit out of my hands because in the end, it's not me who says I am now reached this. It is once it is awarded to you.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to work towards it. So there are actionable things that I am doing to be able to reach that.
Sure, sure. So you have like I'm going to write a blog or I'm going to present the thing or yeah.
Basically that, yeah.
Yeah. So actionable things. We don't need to go into details, but that's right. I want to become an MVP because I appreciate what it means or the benefits or whatever it is, and here are my steps to get there. Right. And then it becomes a goal. And if there's many questions, I got to make sure I don't run out of time because I want to get through it all while also talking to you. I always bring this movie up when we talk about goals, right? Has anyone not seen this movie, The Martian? Is there some people that haven't seen it? Yeah, okay, that's cool. I'll just quickly explain it. So Matt Damon plays a character that gets stranded on Mars, and he's basically there for a long time, and he's got to find his way back by not dying, right? So he has to solve all these problems. And he says at one point in the movie, he's like, okay, let's science the shit out of this. Right? Because that's all he has to do, is just solve one problem after another, after another, after another. And I choose to use this movie, not because it's a really great movie, because it is, but the idea of it is that, well, if you stop, you're not going to achieve what you want to do. Right? He could easily just have given up. I mean, it wouldn't be a very good movie. And then just gone, it's too hard. Right? Quitting is absolutely the easiest thing. It's so easy. Anyone can quit. Nothing to it. So I choose that because this idea of solving one problem after the other, is something that I've sort of, not necessarily taken from that movie, but I recognize it. And I recognize it because of this place. Right, so that's the farm. It's lovely. It's an awful lot of work. You always go, oh, big place. Yay, yeah, there's fences everywhere, and this thing doesn't work, and we don't have town water, so we got to fix water pumps, etc., right? It's not always as rosy as it seems. But when we found this place, there was no way in hell we could afford it, right? We drove there because Fiona was pregnant with my son at the time, about 8 years ago, 9 almost now. Extremely unhappy about being pregnant, really angry because it sucks. I mean, I'm not going to try and pretend I know why, but I have an idea. Very uncomfortable, and she just went, I got to take my mind off this. Started searching for real estate and went, I want a place that has a swimming pool and a tennis court and a sauna and a spa, and this place came up, right? And we were expecting it to be like in Queensland, which is sort of like Florida in Australia, and this is like in the middle of a farming area. So like, So hang on, I got to get a drink. And we thought, okay, well, we went and had a look at it. We could not come up with a good excuse not to buy it, right? Like, there was nothing that we didn't like about it. So we had to figure out how to buy it. And it ended up, I'm not going to go through all the details, but at one point we signed the contract. So I don't know how it works in Norway, but in Australia, it's called you go unconditional, which means you sign the contract and there's no way in hell you can back out of it. Right, so usually it says, if my finance goes through, it's unconditional, I'll buy the place. And then if you end up not being able to pay for it, you get all these penalties and they can take you to court, etc., right? So we signed it with no finance. We didn't have finance when we signed it because we were like, no, we have a fair idea how to do it. There's a bunch of problems we need to solve, but it wasn't completely haphazard. It wasn't like, I'll just do it. It was intentional. And it said, okay, well, if we sign this now, we have to figure it out because we wanted to live there. Right? Where we were before was not bad, but it was the kind of place where you go, morning, John. They go, right? It just wasn't pleasant. So we did. We figured it out. We've been there 8 years now. And my point is that if you keep solving the problems, and sometimes they're really ugly problems, like they're pain in the ass, but you will get to that point in the end if you're intentional about it, because as I said, quitting, so easy. God, it's easy. Like super easy. But we'll get to how you get help with not quitting as well. So, does that make sense? Or am I completely just talking bollocks now? That's very quiet. Oh, good, thank you. Okay, so I'll move on to the next point. We've got 20 minutes left. Often what happens is that oh, this is being recorded, you make a little poo-poo in your life, right? Things don't always go to plan. But the thing that I've found, and I've learned this through not doing it, is you got to own your mistakes. Because it's not going to go right all the time, right? Yes, you make plans. Yes, you're intentional. Yes, you have goals. Yes, you know exactly which way you want to go. But sometimes that doesn't work. And I'll say a lot of the time, right? So it becomes a problem you got to solve. But I'll give you an example of what I did. So when I was working as a freelancer, I did courses for Pluralsight. And I did these called play-by-plays. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, but there are two people that talk about technology and it's filmed. So it's not scripted, but there's a path you go through. I'm going to talk you through this web application and why it's secure or not secure, whatever it might be, right? So I did a lot of these. I like talking to people. I like being on camera. It suited my style of teaching. It was great. And I came up with these ideas that, like at NDC Oslo in, say, 2016, I think, I've lined up 6 of these to be recorded here, right? So it's pretty severe. Like, I was pretty into it. It also meant I could do 6, as a freelancer, I could do 6 of these courses in one go and get paid 6 times for it while being here in Oslo presenting to you guys. Right? It all worked out sweet. So one of them that I did for another thing in Sydney was on quantum computing. So play-by-play on quantum computing. What is it? Microsoft had just released their Q# programming language. It was sort of an abstraction on how you can program with quantum computing. I don't know if any of you are into this at all, but I was way into it. I thought it was so cool. This idea of, qubits that are 1 or 0 or everything in between. I'm like, what the hell? Right? So I proposed this play-by-play, and players were like, yep, that sounds good. We'd like you to do that. I found someone I could do it with, and it was an absolute mess. I had no clue what I was talking about, as it turned out, right? The recording went fine. The guy that was, in charge of the recording, whatever, he said, yeah, it sounded all right. Yeah, it's good. And then they gave it to Microsoft, and they went, what is he on about? There were so many mistakes in it, right? And luckily, it was never published, for obvious reasons. But it was like, yeah, I screwed up. And I spoke to the guy that reviewed it, and he was like, yeah, I think I saved your ass, actually, because if that was published, you would have looked like an idiot. I'm like, I know. So by owning the mistake, reaching out to the person that, sort of called you out or whatever, taking that first step means that you're intentionally going, I want to learn from this, right? And that also mends the relationship. Another example is Jordan, my stepson. He got thrown out of school, sort of. It's a long story. And I said, the first thing you do, it wasn't actually his fault, that's another thing. The first thing you do is you call your employer, so he's working in town at a tech shop, and tell him exactly what happened. Don't let him find out somehow from someone else what happened. Be straight up about it, first thing, and he did. And guess what? His employer's like, oh, that sucks, how can we help? Right? So owning your mistakes, as much as it hurts your ego or your mental health at the time or whatever, it's so important, right? Because we all screw up. None of us are perfect. But if you do that, you get through it. And sometimes you get better off for it. Does that make sense? Questions about that? Anyone want to argue that point? I'm happy to be wrong. Always. Oh, okay. And we got to have Benny in there, right? Do you know Benny? That's Benny. Because, yes, it is your journey. And it is all about you. You got to do what's right for you within reason, obviously. But there's this adversity. There's something. So Fiona, my other half, she is a coach, like a life coach, and she has this concept of the birds. Have you ever heard of the birds? Does that mean anything to you? No. Not Hitchcock. No, we're not murdering anyone. But okay. No, but yeah, you get connotations too. If you're a fan of Hitchcock, there's a movie called The Birds. Now, the birds are the ones that, when you say, I'm gonna pick at Stacey now, right? So I go and I go, okay, you know what? I'm gonna write this book, right? I'm gonna write this book. It's gonna be on, let's say jelly. It is an actual programming language. Look it up. And then Stacey goes, why? What? You don't even know how to write a book. Why would you do that? Right? And then someone else goes, yeah, I heard about someone that wrote a book. It's too hard. I wouldn't do it. And these birds keep pecking at you, right? They keep saying, oh, nah, don't bother. Why would you do that? That's no point. And we all have I bet you've all experienced this. Right? You might not have noticed at the time, but a lot of time family is really good at this. And it's not because they're evil, it's because they have their best intentions. They want to protect you in some sense. But what they're doing is that they're projecting their story on you, right? That's what I mean by the birds. So there's this idea of reverse psychology, and I just like the cartoon. I think it's hilarious. He says, hey, you threw a brick through my window, and he goes, oh, thank God it's not damaged. Oh no, okay, I'll let you go this time, right? That you use this reverse psychology, that if someone says, as in, oh, you can't write a book, why would you do that? It's really hard. I go, yeah, but I'm going to, whatever is your argument is, you got to turn it around and either ignore him or just say, no, I want to, I'm going to do it, right? You got to use their insecurity is what it really is about writing a book, as an example. That is really important. So does anyone want to have you experienced this? No? Yeah, it's up there, sorry. The light is still a bit. Yes, go.
So, before I moved to Oslo,
Mm-hmm.
I lived in a small town up north. And when I told my friends, I'm going to move here to study, they were like, no, that's hard. Being an adult's hard. Moving from your family's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
They kept telling me this all summer and tried to just protect me.
Yeah, yeah.
But my standard response was, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
My response was to just.
And you didn't waver.
Firm.
So the I don't know if you can hear it, but the gentleman up here says he wants to move to Oslo and study, and all his friends where was it? Is it far away from here?
Yeah, it's called Harstad.
I'm not even going to say it. It's not here. Just going, nah, why would you do that? No, it's too hard. Moving, no, you're going to probably break a sofa or something, right? And then we're going to get to that in just a second, but I'm just going to pose the question now. Are they really your friends? You didn't have to answer that. Correct. Because it is part of the journey, right? About the people we surround ourselves with. So, one way of making sure that either you don't screw up as much or you take responsibility for it or you know how to be intentional about your goals is to get a mentor or two. I'm not going to tell you how to get a mentor. I've done a lot of mentoring and been a mentee as well. But there's so much value in having someone objectively look, well, it is never objective because it's them, but someone that doesn't know you as well as, say, your friends or your family, come and sort of give you advice on how they see that you might make this journey. And a mentor's job is not about projecting their experience on you necessarily. It's about understanding what you want to do and then try and guide you through that. It's almost like a parent type thing, except a mentor could be younger than you as well. It doesn't matter. But if you have not got a mentor, a lot of companies will have a mentoring program. We have one at Pluralsight. I actually got a new mentor today, a mentee today. In the software developers, they're so rewarding both ways. Whether you're being mentored or you're receiving mentorship, it's so rewarding. I can only highly recommend it. Does anyone here have a mentor? It's like one person. Sorry, I can't see. 1, 2, 6 or something. Not a lot. So why not? Does anyone volunteer? Why don't you have a mentor? Is it because you never thought about it? Is it because it's scary? Why? Sorry, second. Does a friend count like a mentor? No, absolutely not. A good friend. He's really shiny. He's really good. No, don't ever use your friends as mentors because they know you too well. And then the whole idea is that you see a mentor, well, in my opinion, there's different ways of doing this, is that every 2 months, every 6 weeks, something, you meet up and they go, okay, so where are you at from last time? They don't have the rest of your journey because it's not them, right? That's the idea. So no, don't use your friends. Anyone else want to share? You haven't found one. Okay. How would you find a mentor? Well, I know you don't know because you haven't found one. But anyone want to hazard a guess? Yep. Because you have one, right? You put your hand up. Yeah, go.
So in my case, the mentor I have is for the goal I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
So this is someone who is a Microsoft MVP.
Perfect.
And so I asked, okay, help me out here. How do I reach this goal? And he actually can give me feedback on what I'm doing.
Yep.
new things to work on.
Exactly. So you found a mentor that was in sync with one of your goals. So if you have a goal, like say you wanted to, God knows what, be a trampoline national champions or whatever, well, but you find someone that has some knowledge within that. Well, you start there, right? So in tech, what is it that we all do every Tuesday night or Wednesday night? We go to meetup, right? Like it's kind of our thing in the tech world. Like don't tell me you don't go to meetups, occasionally at least, whether it's a virtual one or in person or whatever. But there might be someone there. Like if it is a tech thing you want to be mentored with, then you ask them if there's some like a speaker. And often just asking, they go, "Ooh, really? You think I could do it?" Like you get that sort of reaction, unless they're just arrogant pricks. But that does happen too. The first thing is asking. You got to find who to ask. Try and find someone that is in sync with what your goals are. But it doesn't have to be. Could also just be the CEO of your company. Sometimes they're more than happy to do it. It's just that no one ever asks, right? So all the C-level at Pluralsight all mentor someone else within the company. It's just a way of nurturing. Is it important that the person has mentorship experience? I don't think so. Not in my opinion.
Every mentor started without experience, right?
Yeah, everyone started without experience. You're right. I mean, you can encourage them to go like, "Have you done it before?" And they go, "Oh, not really." They go, "Okay, well, how would you approach it?" Kind of thing, maybe. But I don't think they need experience. It's just about, more than anything, it's about someone to give you a kick up the ass, right? Because they have, okay, well, that's what you want to do? All right, go. Let me see, right? That's more the job as well. And obviously, there's a lot of time you go, "But yeah, I don't even know where to start." And then they offer some, suggestions on that. All right, I have 8 minutes. Speaking of friends, right, this is always an interesting one because I have absolutely severed contact with friends, right? Because there's a lot of people that you like, "Oh, I went to high school with this person," or "We grew up together," whatever, and they are just not aligned with anything you want to do or what. Like you were saying before, "Oh, I want to move," and then all of them went, "Nah, why'd you do that? We're happy here." Like they don't have your interest at heart. Right? And that's the thing with friends, is that you think someone's a friend until it really matters, and then it might not be. And there's real value in being a bit strict on this. I know it's really difficult because you go, "Oh, we all want to have 600 friends." But you don't, right? You don't really. You need like 4 people that really have your interest at heart, that at any time you can ring them and go, "Oh, shit, I screwed up." And they go, "Okay, let's figure it out." Right? Those are the friends you want. And this is always a bit of a contentious thing because I don't know who your friends are and I don't know what your relationships are with them, right? I just know that there's a lot of people that are the birds that they think you have your best intention. And maybe you tell them, no, this isn't about you, it's about me. Like, we're talking about me, not what you wouldn't do. And sometimes that works and you can sort of, massage it, but sometimes it just doesn't. And as hard as that is, in order for you to be intentional about things, you need to have people in your life that backs you up. Otherwise, it's too hard. All right, let me just get through these, and then we'll do the Q&A stuff as well, right? So, I was talking about turning dreaming into doing, right, to reality. And I absolutely want to talk about that. So, there's sort of 4 steps, or four parts, not steps. We're not talking about Alcoholic Anonymous. Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's planning, it's being iterative. Sounds very text development. It's absolutely hard work, and it's action. Right, those are the things. I just made that up, by the way. It's not like something I've read in a book or anything. So let's talk about planning. So I'll give you an example. We planned on buying the car. We actually wanted to buy a Volkswagen Touareg, V10, blah, blah, blah. We figured out that really wasn't the right one. And then we reviewed it. Right? We say, "Oh, well, that plan didn't work." We still have the plan because we still want the car. We still got to figure out what it was. But there was like, "Oh, the V10's too complicated. We don't think that'll last, blah, blah." There was all these reasons, and we reviewed it, and we figured out, well, actually, we need to reevaluate what we're doing. And then we sort of went, "Oh, we'll have the Audi Q7 V12 because bigger is better." Turns out that was not a good idea either. And then, there was an X7, BMW, blah, blah. And I'm talking about cars, but the idea is that we tried many things in terms of planning before we got to the right part, right? That's how you turn that dreaming into doing. that I was saying before is like, no, call up the guy, call the politician up or his secretary or whatever, get a meeting. Say, hey, I want to do what you do. There's real value in if someone comes up and drives a Lamborghini, you go, okay, so what do you do? Because often they're more than happy to talk about it. And if he says NFT, just run away. Right? So plan, review, and then absolutely hard work. Right? I cannot stress this enough. And hard work, I don't mean you have to go and carry big rocks. That's not the idea. But it's this intentional, again, like, skip the Netflix. Get rid of it, right? Watch a movie, be done with it, with your relaxing whatever you need to do in order to get your mind right, and then spend the rest of the 46 hours doing something that works towards your goals, towards your planning, towards your success and your journey, right? And the hard work just doesn't, there's no substitute. There's no silver bullet, there's no NFT scheme that'll solve that, right? It just isn't. And a lot of people, especially in their 20s, look for that quick success. And I'd argue very, very, very few of them get it. And the ones that do, either it's just completely pure luck. And what happens is that because they didn't do anything to be successful to start with, they don't know how to be successful again. Right? They lose that knowledge, or they never got that knowledge. So there's real value in the hard work, doing the yards, getting the experience, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't, and everybody's different, right? So yeah, hard work. There's no substitute. Or maybe not hard work, but intentional work. Call it whatever you want. And then go all in, right? Actually do something. Take action. That was the way I got, I can only talk about me, right? The way I got to speak at NDC Oslo, first time, 2015, my first really big international conference. And it was really quite, I've never believed in luck. It's never been my thing. It's like, yeah, well, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So what I did is I submitted a talk. I had done a couple of other talks around the place at first. I had a couple of friends that said this was the conference to go to, and I still think it is, by the way. And I rang up the organizers and got a meeting with them and said, hey, you know what? I'd love to do a talk, but I can also do all these other things. Do you want, I can help you host a party or whatever. So if you've been to NDC before, in the before times, I used to do like a Thursday night event or whatever, right? And that was my way of doing it. I wasn't going to just submit and then hope, because then I was the same as all the other 1,200 that submitted, right? Got to put a little bit more in. So do. What can you do today? Do something today or tomorrow, right? And I've written down a few things here, like get the blog article out, call an old colleague, like you would, or a new colleague, figure out what, if they're doing something you think is cool, call them up. Sign up for user group talk, if that's what, the mentor is saying, for example, with the MVP journey. Cancel that damn Netflix. I'm going to keep going back to that. Make a new friend, right? Talk to someone. Talk to a random person. There's so much you can do to try and get towards those things, but be intentional about it. And then this is one of my favorite quotes. I actually don't know who came up with it. Is do today what others won't, so that tomorrow you can do what others can't. Right? Which is, if you do all these things today, not today, but now, if you take action right now, there's no time like the present, then what happens down the track is that you get all these other opportunities that no one else would get because they haven't put in the experience and the hard work. So, right now, change one thing. I don't care what it is, just do something, right? So we've got like 40 seconds left. Oh yeah, I'm going to give 2 books away. I'm going to give it to the lovely gentleman in the front here because there was many good questions. And I'm going to give it to the lady up there that wanted to be a politician, not a minister in a Buddhist church. Oh, you did? Oh. Damn. Sorry. All right. Yeah, well, I'm going to give it to Denny just because Denny's awesome. But yeah, Manning gave me that code, CT, whatever, because, yeah. You can get 35% off, I think, on the whole catalog. I don't know. We give free shit away, right? And then Pluralsight. If you want a Pluralsight subscription, There's the 30-day full Pluralsight subscription with that code there. So you've got to scan the thing, and you get 30 days free. You don't have to. There's no payment or anything. But yeah, and I've done my bit. Plug. If you got more questions, please see me after, because otherwise I'm going to hold up people going home. I don't want to do that. But thank you so much for your time. It was very pleasant to be here, and I hope you get something out of it, at least just a little thing. Thank you.